to you every Friday, 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. Now, today, we're going to take a look at what's making headlines in our dailies today. And of course, later on in our conversation segment, we're going to have a conversation with the runway elite to tell you what exactly the industry is at right now. Is it paying? Is it, earning them a living? All right, that's a conversation that we'll be having here on the Drift later on in the program. Right now, let's get started. Now, the DCP party leader has expressed his perplexity over the recent statement by the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, who alleged that there are no Juba land forces present in Mandera. Now, the former Deputy President has reaffirmed that his previous position remains unchanged, that residents have been illegally displaced by forces operating in the area contrary to the laws of the land. Now, he has emphasized that it is indeed true that schools have been shut down and ongoing fatalities continue as a result of clashes between Somali forces and Jubaland forces. Gachagua has made these remarks during a burial service for Grace Wanjira, the sister of Njadi, a DCP aspirant in Kiru Ward, Mathioya constituency, Murang'a County.
Tuko na shida pade ya Mandera kubwa sana. Na mimi nilisema iko shida kwa Mandera ya usalama na mambo ya magaidi. Wakanipigia kelele, hata wakasema ati nishikwe nikirudi. Sasa ile nilisema kila mtu anasema namna hiyo. Majeshi kutoka Jubaland wamevamia Kenya, wako pale Mandera. Na hao viongozi ya Mandera hakuwa naongea mpaka nikaongea. Saa hii waziri wa usalama anasema ati lazima wafanye uchunguzi. Sasa uchunguzi gani na hiyo watu wamekuwa hapo mwezi mbili? Hata waziri wa usalama hana habari hii watu iko Kenya. So tunauliza senator wa Mandera, wewe hapana ongea ukiwa Nairobi. Nimekusikia ukiongea jana na ni vizuri. Enda uongee ukiwa kwa ground ukisaidia watu yako. Ndio hao magaidi watolewe pale. Na wewe waziri wa usalama unashindana na governor. Governor ako kwa ground. Governor anasema iko magaidi Kenya. Wananchi wanasema iko magaidi Kenya. Kwa hivyo mimi nataka nihakikishie watu ya Mandera, sisi tutawatetea. Mimi nikiwa kiongozi wa Kenya nitamtetea nyinyi kwa sababu iko shida pale, wameua watu 5, wamejeruhi watu 7, shule imefungwa, iko hali ya taharuki na lazima tutetee watu ya Mandera. Lazima hawa askari waondoke Kenya warudi kwao.
Right now, the Committee of Experts on Protest Victims Compensation has been sworn in. The 18-member committee will be tasked with facilitating compensation of victims of demonstrations and protests dating back to 2017. Chaired by Professor Makau Mutua, who is President William Ruto's senior advisor on constitutional affairs and human rights, the panel is expected to affect the implementation of the August 8 proclamation by Ruto, where he announced a framework to compensate protest victims. President Ruto unveiled a 5-member committee on August 8 to establish a framework for compensating victims of protest and riots.
The proof of the pudding is always in the eating. Judge us by what we do, not what we say. Judge us by what we do, not what we say. We will talk less so that our actions can speak louder. Our goal is to break the cycle of violence in this country.
And let it be known that I have in no way betrayed your trust. Let it be clear that access to criminal justice remains critical to me. In our quest to promote and protect the rule of law as an essential element in the enjoyment of the fundamental human rights and freedoms. Faith Odhiambo will not let you down. The bloodshed of our comrades must not be in vain. And no, I will not take any prisoners. I will instead keep you informed of the developments, and at no point shall I act to negate the gains that we have made together as a country.
Right, the Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has confirmed that a major crackdown on muggings in Nairobi, with security agencies instructed to intensify operations against criminal gangs targeting unsuspecting citizens. Murkomen said the government has taken note of a surge in violent robberies, many of which are linked to groups posing as street children. Speaking during a Jokwala Usalama Forum in Bungoma, the CS revealed that the so-called street children are in fact organized groups, some armed with knives, who have been staging coordinated attacks.
Discussing worst challenges of robbery with violence, and so forth. And even these marking issues, as I've told you, part of it is perpetrated by so-called street children, organizing themselves in small groups with knives sometimes and attacking and suspecting citizens. I want to confirm to you that operation is ongoing and it will continue. It is a continuous issue. And part of the conversation we are having, and we will have also here, is that nothing should wait for a directive policy of national, cabinet secretary or any other person. That is a daily responsibility of the OCS in the police station. That's what I was telling the OCSs today. Shouldn't wait for, unless a very unique challenge that has come out of, a particular issue. But things like theft, muggings, that is a daily responsibility of the police officers within the area. Operations going on those issues in that area. As I told you, Trans Nzoia, even here, some of those complaints are here about small theft and mugging, and we are going to do something to make sure that that is addressed. Some of them, of course, are underage, but that's not an excuse. Remember when we went to Coast for Jukwaa la Usalama, there was resurgence of Panga boys, but we have now been able to deal with that issue. So we will deal with it. And if there is any weakness in terms of operational command, we will redeploy some of the officers who have the capacity to help and lead in resolving that issue. The last question was on also another.
Now, a group of Nairobi lawmakers has called on Governor Johnson Sakaja and members of the Nairobi County Assembly, that is the MCAs, to use the next 60 days agreed upon during a meeting with President William Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga to resolve grievances through dialogue instead of plunging the capital into another impeachment battle. Speaking at the Nairobi Hotel, the legislators also called upon the governor to up his game and fix where there are gaps. The leaders warned against repeating the chaos that followed the impeachment of former Governor Mike Sonko, which left Nairobi under interim leadership and the Nairobi Metropolitan Service.
That the county assembly members have the right to bring in an impeachment motion. That is their constitutional right. But we also have the benefit of the disruptions that have taken place in recent history for Nairobi, especially when the governor, former Mike Sonko, was impeached. You saw how much disruption occurred in Nairobi, followed by the establishment of the NMS and the many things that ensued thereafter, including a lot of things that came to a standstill as a result.
But everyone has a second chance. This is a very good opportunity for him to be able to bring his people together. Dialogue is always a leadership role. We encourage it so that everyone gets a win-win. The leadership, the people of Nairobi.
There's a lot of confusion that came in through with NMS. And the intervention is not about Sakaja. The intervention is about Nairobi County, the unique city, which cannot be parallel to any other county.
This process would have been, as members of parliament from Nairobi, we stayed back and allowed the MCAs to conduct their constitutional mandate. Now, we're only speaking because they've taken the initiative to allow dialogue chance, and we've come in to support our MCAs just to ensure that we all respond to the people of Nairobi.
Now, tension was high in Buruburu Phase 3 as residents and church members clashed with the land encroachment allegations at the center of it. Now, the residents are up in arms accusing the International Fellowship Christ Church, that is the IFC, of encroachment and damaging the area's water system. The residents claim the church has constructed structures on the stormwater drainage and enclosed public pathways, making movement difficult. Ritan Jerry now reports. Right, moving on, Medical Services PS Dr. Oma Olunga has urged County Executive Committee members for health to move with speed and send returns for UHC staff currently offering services in facilities to facilitate contract reviews. This follows a directive from a joint meeting between the Ministry of Health and the Council of Governors that agreed to review the remuneration of UHC staff to align with the Salaries and Remuneration Commission rates.
the council agreed that we are going to pay the UHC staff as per SRC rates. True or false? And we at the Ministry of Health have the money. But the contracts are with the county public service boards. Are they with the county governments? Let me say that. All right. So I don't know whether this requires county public service boards or just chief officers, but the contract has to reflect that for the remaining part of the contract, you will be paid at SRC rates. We would like the CCs to help us with initiating the process so that the county public service boards could alter the contracts.
The starting point to EGPS is to have a budget. Once we have the budget and it is on IFMIS, please register with the system. Register the people who are going to operate it. That is already, you are like 40% of the way. Then before you know it, if you have, I'm told the procurement plan is online. Please go ahead and do it. Do not keep protesting, saying it is going away. It will not go away.
Right, to the earlier story, tension was high in Buruburu Phase 3 as residents and church members clashed with land encroachment allegations at the center of it. Now the residents are up in arms accusing the International Fellowship Christ Church, that is the IFC, of encroachment and damaging the area's water system. The residents claim the church has constructed structures on the stormwater drainage and enclosed public pathways, making movement difficult. Rita Jerry now reports.
A section of Buruburu Phase 3 residents chanted slogans while converging outside International Fellowship for Christ Church compound, Buruburu, on Wednesday, September, calling for justice over allegations of land grabbing involving the IFC Church. Residents expressed their frustrations and anger as they accused the IFC Church of unlawfully taking over land that has historically served as a boundary sewer line between the church premises and the residential area. According to the chairperson of Bumbani Court Residents Association, Agnes Munjeru, this land is now being used by the church as a vegetable, flower garden and commercial site, which has led to significant flooding issues in the community.
Na tuko tayari hata kumarch. We are ready to march for our rights. Kwa sababu tunajua sheria na tunajua rights zetu. Na tunajua where they are supposed to reach kama church. Hatujawahi pigana na hii church, lakini hawa wenyewe wametuchokoza.
The agitated residents have also voiced their disappointment with the Nairobi County government, claiming that it has failed to take legal actions against the church for what they believe is an illegal seizure of land.
Hapo maji ilikuwa blocked. Hii kanisa imechukua area hiyo, mtu akitaka kwenda huko wameblock.
If some installation has been done which is affecting the neighborhood, it is good for us to sit down and agree, yeah, on the best way forward.
In response to these serious allegations, Pastor Kamau, the founder of the IFC Buruburu Church, categorically refuted the claims, stating the church holds legal title to the land in question. He has invited the residents to pursue legal channels to present any evidence they may have regarding the allegations.
No, we have never been told by any authority that is flooding.
But there is flooding. So
where?
To address the concerns raised by the residents, the Assistant Commissioner is scheduled to meet with the complainants on Wednesday, September 10th. The meeting aims to discuss the situation and provide a ruling on the matter.
If we don't get any positive response, we'll end up getting to court, because we have organized a meeting for Wednesday next week at 10 o'clock. The ACC Assistant County Makadara Administrator was here, a County Commissioner was here, and she has also gone around and seen what we are telling you.
Mumetukanyanga.
Hapana,
we have no enjoyment.
All right, thank you, Rita and Jerry, for that particular report. Moving on, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has warned youth who are being used to disrupt political rallies and also used by politicians to cause violence at funerals, saying strict legal action will be taken against them. Murkomen said this when he visited Bungoma County to chair a security forum debate. Murkomen has ordered the county security department to deal with such groups that endanger the lives of citizens as they later emerge as criminal groups. Police reports show that most of the perpetrators are family members who cause cases of sexual violence. Murkomen called on chiefs and their deputies to take responsibility for the issue and arrest the perpetrators so that the victims can get justice.
Is the presence of goons, that are causing havoc and violence in this county. Funerals are impossible to attend. People are not having peaceful environment to bury their loved ones. Political events are always violent and people are living in fear. Again, that multi-agency team shall do a massive crackdown on leaders of goons, regardless of their political affiliations. And all of them shall be arrested and taken to court. We will get rid of Bungoma of all these goons that have operated and abetted for many years. These goons are not just confined to constituencies, a few constituencies. It includes also, as I said, border areas of this county, and that really endangers the security of the nation. As you must have seen me yesterday address this issue in Busia, this part of Western region has, in the last few years, had politically organized goons. But this is a new dawn. We must deal with them. We must deal with them impartially. And I invite all political leaders, aspiring candidates especially, to come to politics with clean hands, join together with those who have been elected. I want to request also our elected leaders. We have had a meeting and they are also very concerned about these issues. And I want to invite them to participate in supporting the National Police Service in getting rid of political goons in Bungoma.
Right now, the National Gender and Equality Commission has launched an investigation into the state of education for the girl child in arid areas of the country, targeting 17 counties. Now, the Commission's Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Purity Ngina, speaking in the Tharaka-Nithi County after meeting with the education officials from the county, has said that investigations is meant to help the Commission provide advice to government departments on how to improve education and gender conditions for the girl child. Now, the Commission aims to examine the environment of the girl child both in the community and at school, as well as challenges such as cultural practices, access to clean water, early marriages and pregnancies, menstrual health, and other factors that may affect learning.
Look at the KDHS data of 2022. We know 15% of our girls in this country became pregnant when they were children, before they got to the age of 18. And hence is a big concern. We don't want to understand, because education is the greatest equalizer. It is the one that can build and can mold a community. And we cannot achieve SDG 5 on gender equality if SDG 4 on quality education is lagging behind.
Gender equality in Tharaka-Nithi, we cannot say we have achieved. But if we put together our efforts with the Commission and the county government, and again, based on the research that they are doing, we can be able to again uplift the equality and the standards of the girl child education in Tharaka-Nithi.
In terms of issues of stigma in schools, which may keep away these girls from schools, we have our guidance and counseling teams within the institutions. We also do have clubs within the school that help sensitize everybody in that school community to accept and make this girl feel comfortable within the institution.
Right, freight agents in Kenya have signed a pact aimed at easing congestion at the port of Mombasa, a bottleneck long blamed for raising the cost of doing businesses. Now, though the umbrella body or the Kenya International Freight and Warehousing Association, that is KIFWA, the agents inked a memorandum of understanding with Swiss-based veterans operating locally as their service. Now, the deal eliminates the recruitment for container cash deposits, which have been cited as a key cause of delays in cargo clearance. KIFWA, which brings together more than 1,000 corporate members, said small and medium-sized firms often took up to 4 days to organize the cash deposits demanded by shipping lines, slowing down logistics.
This partnership and this solution is going to contribute majorly towards the port efficiency. And it is going to place Kenya as one of the biggest logistics hubs, not only within the EAC and the region, but in this entire corridor and Africa at large. To the shippers, the clearing agents, we are very much happy that we'll no longer need the expensive deposits in thousands of dollars as has been, and we want to thank you, Mr. Madhengi and the team, for finding a time. So on behalf of KIFWA, we are very much happy.
Service coming in, it will give us advantage of having a financial flexibility. For example, maybe as a company, maybe your capital base is around $5,000, and you depend on that $5,000 to rotate it to pay some other services also, including container deposit and port charges. So by via service coming in, okay, they'll remove the burden of you paying the container deposits, and the money can be diverted to other use. You understand? So number two, it also make the company grow.
It is a solution that we are now providing, which provides a business-friendly solution that addresses the concern not only of the freight forwarders and the shippers, but even the shipping lines who are the container owners. Because at the end of the day, if the containers are not moving loud, then business cannot thrive. So this is a major milestone for us. It's an opportunity that we are grabbing because we know by leveraging our partnership, strategic partnership with KIFWA and other stakeholders, we are able to develop and implement this solution and others for purposes of improving the logistics ecosystem in this region and therefore enhancing development.
Now, President William Ruto says the government has taken deliberate and decisive actions to revitalize and grow the economy. Now, the president pointed out that the government is committed to building an economy that works for all Kenyans. Now, in the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, President Ruto's economic blueprint, he said agriculture was rightly and explicitly identified as a central value chain through which production and productivity will not only ensure good security, but also improved incomes for farmers. He made the remarks during the official opening of the Mombasa ASK International Show on Thursday.
Kilimo pia kimekabiliwa na uhaba wa ufadhili na bima, kutokuwepo kwa hatua za kutosha kuongeza dhamani bidhaa zao, masoko yasiyobashirika na huduma duni ya nyanjani ama extension services. Tumechukua hatua mwafaka kukabiliana na changamoto hizi, na sasa matokeo ya dhahiri iko wazi. Our national food situation has stabilized, and for the first time in many years, Kenyans can see a clear difference at the markets and in their homes.
Tumesikia hii leo ni mwaka wa 122 hii show kwa hapa. Wazo langu, rai yangu, na nina imani ni rai na maoni ya watu wa Mombasa, pengine itakuwa ni bora. Kwanza, mnaonaje tuibadilishe iwe ni Mombasa Exhibition Center? Pili, kuwe na proper state of the art exhibition center hapa, kwa sababu hapa ni karibu na mahoteli yote. Hapa ni karibu na upande huu nyuma kuna mahoteli. Ukienda mbele zaidi ni kuna mahoteli. Hapa ndio sehemu katikati unaweza kufika airport kwa haraka. Nafasi ya ardhi iliyoko hapa. Pili, ushirikiano ulioko baina ya serikali ya county, serikali kuu, itawafanya nyinyi ni rahisi ili muweze kulitekeleza hili jambo. Panapo majaliwa miaka 100 kutoka hapa, wajukuu na vitukuu vetu visione haya mambo yako hivi, waone kidogo mambo yamebadilika.
Right, Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru has promised a smooth handover when her second term ends, but warned residents against making reckless political choices in 2027 elections that could reverse development gains. Speaking at the county prayer breakfast in Kotus, she emphasized her legacy and urged voters to choose leaders who will build on her progress and not undermine it. Waiguru pledged to leave the county in strong shape and announced plans to showcase her administration's projects on billboards.
I pray that we'll finish strong, because I pray God gives us up to 2027 August. I think we estimated that to be on 25th. We'll be handing over this county around the 25th. Isn't that what we said, CS? About 25th. So assuming elections is on 9th, results are announced on 10th, we have to hand over in 14 days. So we actually have a date. I said on that day, right? And I had this conversation with my CECs, that we will hand over Kirinyaga in the best possible standard and form to the new governor. And we will tell him that if you go to Kagio, this is where we are at. If you go to Kerogoya, this is what we have done. If you go to Kirinyaga, this is what you will find. In Kagumo and in Dia Kibengoti, this is what you will find. I've had my fair share of challenges, as you all know. I pray that in 2027, the determinant for who we are electing in Kirinyaga will be work 70 to 80%. Ati watu wa Kirinyaga wataangalia before and after. And I intend to put billboards, by the way, in every place. In Kerogoya, I will put a billboard to show this is how it was before I came. This is how it looks now. So that when you are electing, you look at the person who is coming to campaign behind that billboard and ask yourself whether this person can now move us from here to another picture I saw one of the Waishimuas posting of Kirinyaga. I wish Kirinyaga would look like that. If that Sagana roundabout would look the way I saw, and those buildings like the capital city of Nairobi, it is doable, but it depends on the leaders.
All right, it is exactly 25 minutes past the top of the hour. That's right, to take a short breather here on The Drift, but we'll be back with much more.
Before they could answer, the lights came back and they all breathed a sigh of relief.
Higher, 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 lift Jesus higher, higher, higher.
You are watching EBN TV, transforming your world.
Right, welcome back to the program. This is The Drift. Now let's take a look on what's making headlines on the daily today. And I'm having the Daily Nation newspaper, the Standard newspaper, and the Star newspaper dated today, the 5th day of September 2025. Now let's take a look on what's making headlines in the Daily Nation. Now, top story on the Daily Nation says, who failed them? Is a question right there on the front page of the Daily Nation. Now, for parents, time has stood still. Every moment of Hillside and Darasha Academy bound into the horror and screams that filled the air on the fateful night of September 5th of 2024. A year later, authorities have no answers about the school that killed their 21 children happened and why no one has been held to account. Of course, There is images there. Now it is actually 1 year, exactly 1 year. Of course, the incident happened September 5th of 2024, and today is September 5th of 2025. Now, there are pictures there of, the burial ceremony where they buried close to 21 students who, used to go to school at the Hillside in Russia Academy. Now, let's take a look at that particular story on page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation. Now, the Daily Nation says Roy Brandon Mogo was the only child of Mr. Timothy Gikonyo and Miss Esther Wanjiro. He was in grade 6 on September 5th of 2024 when a dormitory at Hillside in the Russia Academy caught fire at night as its 164 occupants slept. Mugo died in the blaze alongside 20 other boys. Many others sustained burn wounds and other injuries as they struggled to run from the congested dormitory. Now, a year later, families of the dead and injured boys are still demanding answers. Was the fire an accident, arson, or due a result of negligence? Now, for the last 1 year, Mr. Gikonyo and his wife have been seeking answers and how, why their children died. Nothing has been forthcoming from the government. Now, the people's pain is shared by other 20 families. Following the tragedy, Hillside in Russia Academy was shut but reopened days later. It now appears life has moved on. Now, according to the Daily Nation, the school this week, nothing indicated that 21 young lives were tragically lost in one night. Now, the name Hillside in the Russia Academy has been erased from the gate, and a stranger would easily pass without recognizing it. It has also been removed from the administration block. Some employees were busy erasing the name of the school buses. Now, whatever remained of the dormitory after the deadly inferno has been cleared. The site is fenced off with iron sheets, painting blue and white. Now, boarding, once mandatory for grade 5 pupils onwards, is no longer an option for the institution, which now runs as a mixed-day primary school. Now, inside enclosed the horror of the night and the injustice of families of Brandon, Roy, Victor, Muturi, John, Komu, Emmanuel, of course, many others who died in the inferno. The families now, want answers from the government and investigating agencies. Of course, now being the 1 year anniversary, of course, as according to the Daily Nation, what it times says, nothing, can tell that there was a school there called Hillside in Russia, but the Daily Nation says the school still continues, but boarding is not mandatory. Of course, the parents who lost their lives, whose children lost their lives, and those who were injured now demand answers from the investigators, saying, they have received nothing from the government and as well as the investigative agencies. They don't know if it was an arson, was it an accident? All right. We hope that justice will be served to the families. All right. Moving on to other matters here. Now, West Pokot NAS wins Global Award. Now, Luke Kanyangereng, 51-year-old, a nurse at a health center in West Pokot, has been honored for his efforts in combating a neglected tropical disease that nearly killed him. As a teenager, he received the award at a conference in Finland. Of course, that's a story on page 3 of the Daily Nation. Of course, the picture right there of Mr. Luke is actually there, who is a West Pokot nurse who got an award for Kalaza fight. Right? Now, currently the head of the Kanyakwat Health Center in West Pokot County. Now, Mr. Luke, 51-year-old, was celebrated for his decades-long fight against his visceral leishmaniasis. Of course, that's a scientific name, also known as Kalaza, a deadly neglected tropical disease. It is a disease that nearby killed him as a teenager. At just 14, he lay in a hospital bed at the now Kachiliba Sub-County Hospital, racked by the brutal effects of Kalaza. Of course, there's a story on page 3 of the Daily Nation. Now let's take a look on other matters making headlines on the Daily Nation. Now David Kinyua, the proprietor of the school, declined. Of course, this matters the Hillside Indarasha Academy. Now, Mr. David Kinyua, the proprietor of the school, declined that comment instead, referring, the Daily Nation to the Ministry of Education. Now, officers from the government pathologist work says alongside, of course, Hillside and Indarasha Academy. There is a picture there. Of course, Indarasha Academy Hillside is, in Nyeri County in Kieni, Nyeri County. Of course, we hope that, justice will be served to the bereaved families. Moving on to the Star newspaper dated today, the 5th day of September 2025. Top story on the Star newspaper this particular morning says, Ruto reduces varsity fees to 25-year low. Let's take a look at that particular story on page 4 and 5. See what the head of state has to say in regards to matters education in the universities. Now, public universities have begun implementing a revised fee structure after President William Ruto's administration slashed tuition fees to what could be the lowest levels in 2025. Now, the Star has established that institutions across the country have significantly reduced fees for both first-year and continuing students, with some programs recording cuts of more than 70%. Now, the sweeping changes follow a government directive issued in July after months of public outcry from parents and students over what many described as unsustainable university fees. Now, the directive took effect on September 1st, coinciding with the start of the new academic year. Now, a spot check by the Star newspaper confirmed the reductions, which have brought substantial relief to students and families struggling with the rising cost of education. For Ruto, the move could become a powerful campaign talking point just months after his administration faced virulent criticism over the sharp rise in university fees. Of course, you'll remember just a month or so ago, the Treasury CS, that is John Badi, says that the government, or the current state of the economy, it may be difficult to, fund free primary education, but now the head of state, that is President William Ruto, cuts, varsity fees by 25-year low, right? We are yet to see that to be implemented. Of course, they say it has commenced, or rather it will be effective from September 1st, which is this semester, academic year, all right? Moving on to other matters making headlines on the Star newspaper, pomp and dance as President William Ruto opens Mombasa ASK show. And remember, yesterday, President William Ruto joined the Mombasa residents at the ASK show in Mombasa County on Thursday. And of course, there are pictures there of President William Ruto and Senator, or rather Speaker Amason Kingi, that is who's the Senate Speaker, and Livestock Development PS Jonathan Mweke, President Ruto, and Governor Abdulswamad Sharif Nasir, and of course Sports CS, that is Salim Mvurya. Right now, crime spikes as Nairobians battle muggers, violent robbers in CBD. Of course, this is a story that has been making headlines. Of course, this particular week of street children, or rather goons, labeling themselves as street children who, robbing people in the Kenya's capital, that is Nairobi. Now, if you have been in Nairobi CBD during the evening lately, you may have noticed groups of young men filming videos, posing for photos, or simply loitering along busy ways, but they may not be as innocent as they seem. Multiple reports have emerged of a sharp rise in violent crimes linked to these youth groups, especially in dimly lit alleys and corridors in CBD. Victims report being accosted by individuals wielding syringes, kitchen knives, and using human waste for intimidation. Now, while police maintain that the perception of a crime spike is not accurate, and that in fact the crime rate is trending downwards in this year's economic survey report by KNBS paints a different picture. Now, according to the survey, the crime rate has been on the rise trend since 2020, with the Nairobi City Police Command Station recording the highest reported crimes at 9.6% during the period between 2020 and, of course, 2024. Now, it showed 9,717 cases were reported in Nairobi in 2024, up from 5,844 in 2020. Now, James Mori, who works in Upper Hill, said he was almost attacked while walking along Kenyatta Avenue near the Stanley Hotel around 6 p.m. on Monday. And of course, we'll remember that, these crimes have, continues to rise even as people, I saw people this particular week from September 1st to September, of course, September 5th, which is today, the Rema Feast 2025 actually commenced. And of course, people come from the Rema Feast late in the hours, of course, the goons or rather the criminals are taking advantage of that, robbing people, even as they come out to, praise Jesus at the Rema Feast 2025. All right, now let's take a look on what's making headlines on the Standard newspaper, and we hope that the security agencies will work on that, to restore normalcy in the Kenya's capital. Now, the Standard newspaper, this particular morning, top story on the Standard says deceitful spending, and there is a picture there of the Tower of Parliament, and of course a picture there of the head of state, that is Dr. William Ruto, and the Treasury CS John Mbadi. Now, in an attempt to circumvent scrutiny, the government has in select instances spent taxpayers' money without parliamentary approval, exploiting provision in the constitution that allowed the Treasury to spend without House approval only on emergencies such as natural calamities. However, the government has kept using funds not cleared by the Parliament in total disregard for best practice in budget management, which marks a deceit as Mwananchi struggles under the weight of taxes. That's a story on page 4 of the Standard newspaper dated today, the 5th day of September 2025. And the Control of Budget, that is Margaret Nyakango, has faulted the state for its continued over-reliance of Article 223 of the Constitution to finance existing government programs. Now, in her latest report, Dr. Nyakango revealed that in the 2024-2025 financial year, the National Treasury approved a total of 77.48 billion Kenya shillings in addition funds, or rather funding the ministries, now departments and agencies under Article 223 of this amount. The Control of Budget authorized withdrawals of 66.54 billion from the Consolidated Fund. Now, through the National Government Budget Implementation Review, for a report for the 2024-2025 financial year, Nyakango cautioned that relying heavily on Article 223 to implement ongoing government programs violates paragraph 40, subsection 4 of the Public Finance Act, that is the National Government Regulations of 2015. Right? That's what's up on matters, national matters in the Standard newspaper. Now, matters politics, support push to dissolve Sakaja regime, lobby asks city residents. Now, a society group has described the move of President William Ruto, ODM leader Raila Odinga to save Governor Johnson Sakaja as selfish and a betrayal of city residents. Now, Kenya Bora Twitter Kayo yesterday claimed that since September 2022, when the new administration took over, there has been a looting spree. And now the group has vowed to lobby Nairobi residents through collection of signatures to push for the dissolution of Nairobi County government, accusing Governor Sakaja administration of corruption and failure to offer quality services. Now, at the same time, the group said the move by President William Ruto and Raila to halt the impeachment motion was not for the benefit of Nairobi residents, but for their own interest. The lobby group, whose leadership also includes lawyer Harun Ndobi, stated that they had commissioned an audit on the county government, claiming it was insolvent. They noted that while the 2023-2024 budget stood at 42.2 billion, pending bills had shot up to 118 billion. Right? That's what's up. We're not making headlines, of course, in matters politics. I don't know what to take on that. You know, just the past week, there was an impeachment of Kericho governor, that is Eric Mutai, who survived the impeachment. And the governor, you know, had no support, you know, from the state officials like the president and whatnot. But in Nairobi, Johnson Sakaja, you know, the MCs from Nairobi wanted to impeach, or they had started, you know, collecting signatures to impeach the Nairobi governor. But the head of state, that is President William Ruto, and the ODM party leader, who actually signed a pact sometime in last year or early this year, you know, they signed a pact, you know, to what they term as broad-based government to save, all right, and of course, this week they saved Nairobi governor, that is Arthur Johnson Sakaja, who was actually given a 1-month ultimatum to change his leadership style. And of course, matters, you know, in the Nairobi county, it's a matter of wait and see what happens after the 1-month ultimatum. All right. Moving on to, you know, matters corridors of justice and matters healthcare as well. Now, high-end hospital in the Nairobi County is seeking court approval to sell 2 properties owned by parents of a 30-year-old patient used as security for his 21 million medical bill. Now, the Aga Khan University Hospital in a case before the commercial court in Nairobi alleged that the patient's father codenamed SOB, his wife JMO, and another guarantor codenamed as Ken, undertook to settle the bill after a patient codenamed Joe was discharged in 2019. Now, however, the hospital's lawyer, Brian Asin, told the court that since Joe's discharge on June 20th of 2019, the bill has remained unpaid. Right? That matters, you know, corridors of justice, of course, matters health. You can get that on page 3 of the Standard newspaper. Now, today, you know, there is a match ongoing today at the Kasarani Stadium at 4 p.m. There is a match there of the World Cup qualifiers, that is Harambee Stars and, of course, Gambia in the Group F 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier at Kasarani Stadium today at 4 p.m. And of course, there have been issued, you know, alternative routes, you know, because there will be traffic jams and snarl-ups today, you know, in the evening, and of course in the course of the day, because of the highly anticipated match at the Kasarani Stadium in Nairobi. Of course, it is Gambia versus Kenya for the FIFA World Cup qualifier. Of course, we shall be keeping tabs with that particular match and shall be bringing you, you know, subsequent updates in regards to that. But of course, just in case you're using the Thika Road Super Highway, you know, brace yourself to be caught up in the snarl-up heading to Nairobi, and of course, moving from Nairobi to, you know, Thika. Right? It is exactly 54 minutes past the top of the hour. You're now up to speed with what you're waking up to this particular morning as far as news is concerned. We're taking a short breather, but when you come back, we're going to have the model, one of the models. We're taking, you know, we'll be having models, and going to tell you what exactly the industry is at right now. Don't go too far.